Welcome to See and Free University. This is practice 3, how to combat fear. In last week's practice, we talked about how to free our USD. And one barrier to freeing our USD is fear. So how do we combat fear? And before we jump in, let's talk about how we respond to fear. Our brain has a built-in mechanism to respond to fear. It is instinctual, and all animals have it. It is called the amygdala. Think of your amygdala as your emergency response system. If it senses fear, it reacts, and it is not rational. It's your brain's way of protecting you without considering whether you're truly in danger. The amygdala really only has 4 possible responses: fight, flee, freeze, or appease. And like I said, it doesn't matter if you're truly in danger, your brain produces a reaction. So how do we know if we're really in danger? And what do we do to combat fear? Well, you have to fight your natural instincts, and that's not easy to do. Let's learn from martial arts, an art form practiced in many different countries and cultures, and one that often teaches us how to defend ourselves against real danger. Fight. When our amygdala has a fight response, it shows up in many ways. A defensive posture, yelling, anger, frustration, and sometimes physical harm. And again, if we have an instinct to fight when in danger, real or not, it can affect us both at home and the workplace. It's like disagreement, fist pounding, yelling, and sometimes, like I said, can react with perceived threats through physical harm. So how might we approach fear differently, or if amygdala wants to fight? Warning: don't use teenagers with no experience in acting or martial arts to help you with your educational video. So, looking here, you can see the fear in the person in green. He's got a fighting stance. He's rigid, defensive, and ready for a fight. But the reality is that in fight mode, this person is in more danger. He actually needs to relax. Watch. Because he wasn't relaxed, it was easy to knock him over and actually cause him harm. And telling someone who responds to fight to relax is actually quite difficult, but critically important to defending himself against real danger. Watch this. When he loosens up and unlocks his legs, relaxes his arms, and breathes, he can now maneuver better and not only see danger coming, but avoid it. So if you find yourself reacting to fear, real or imagined, with anger, take a deep breath and relax. Now, flee. When our amygdala has a flee response, we want to get away from danger. In our personal and work lives, that may look like checking out of the conversation, distracting ourselves with devices to avoid conflict or speaking up. Perhaps we even leave the room or the situation to avoid whatever we're fearing. At its core, fleeing looks like resistance and avoidance. But let's look at how we can defeat that approach to fear. In this video, we see the bystander in green trying to resist his attacker in red. What happens when he resists and tries to flee? The attacker actually gets a tighter grip hold. This happens in everyday life. The more we avoid our fears, the more that fear can consume us. People can be afraid of something, and the longer they avoid it and they don't try it, that fear becomes stronger. So what do we do if we want to flee from conflict or danger? Well, we actually need to lean in and go towards it. When the bystander moves towards his attacker, he is able to release his grip, and fear cannot hurt him. So if you find yourself checking out, avoiding, or resisting, you actually need to lean in. Try the things you're scared of and put yourself out there. Freeze. When our amygdala has a freeze response, we can become paralyzed. We don't know what to do, and it can take a long time for us to react or take action. In that time, our fear can win. Freeze can look like procrastination, silence, paralysis, apathy, and inaction. So what do we do to combat fear when we want to freeze? In this video, you see the bystander in green freeze against danger. He doesn't know what to do or how to respond, and so the attacker is able to move in and take over. But what nearly every child who takes martial arts learns to do early in their training is yell when faced with danger. They need to use their voice to let people know that they feel like they're in harm or they're being attacked. So if you find yourself paralyzed with fear, you actually need to use your voice and let others know that you feel in danger. Learn to ask for help. Let people know what you're thinking and feeling. It's only after you use your voice that you can take action and actually get away from fear. Appease. When your amygdala has an appease response, you are likely giving in to the fear by meeting its demands. In our personal lives, an appeaser is someone who constantly agrees at their own peril. They typically spend their own time, energy, and resources to meet someone else's demands while neglecting their own needs. They are the people in meetings who say they agree with someone when they don't. They are typically martyrs who keep taking on more and more burden just to make someone else happy or to avoid conflict. The problem, though, is that eventually all of that appeasement takes its toll. They will face burnout faster. They will give and give and give, and the things they start to suffer will be their relationships, health, and their own happiness. So let's look at real danger. Appeasers have to learn when to speak up and when to give in. There are some times when it makes sense to appease, and in this case, with the attacker, you can see the attacker's demanding money. Your money is far less important than your life, so appease and give the attacker your money. But if he's going to take your life or threaten someone close to you, you need to learn to fight or flee. Appeasers need to recognize when their life and their happiness is at risk, and they need to stand up for themselves. It's as simple as remembering to use your voice, ask for what you need, and know when you've given too much. So what do we need to remember? Our amygdala responds to real or perceived fear no matter what. We need to catch those responses and ask ourselves if we're really in danger. Is something really at risk? Learn to breathe and then launch your counterintuitive attack. Ask yourself what you're really fearing. Ask if the consequences are worse than actually giving something a try. Ask yourself if you're overreacting and if you're actually going to make the situation worse. Over the next few weeks, I want you to track your reactions to situations. Just jot down how you respond. And are you practicing your counterintuitive response? Are you taking fear on by facing everything and rising? It's time to make a choice. You can either fight or relax, flee or lean in. You can freeze or speak up and act, or appease, or discern when it's time to stand up for yourself. That's this week of See and Free University on seeandfreestudio.com. Please make sure you subscribe and come back every 2 weeks for a new practice. We'd love to see you.